Hi, I'm Barry Ostrowski. At Barnabas Health, we believe citizens need to be informed about the important healthcare issues affecting their lives. That's why we're proud to support healthcare programming produced by the Caucus Educational Corporation and their partners on public television.
A look at New Jersey's top business schools next on Caucus New Jersey.
Funding for this edition of Caucus New Jersey has been provided by Barnabas Health. Life is better healthy. PSE&G, committed to improving New Jersey's economy and strengthening its communities. MD Advantage Insurance Company of New Jersey. Cohn Resnick, Accounting, Tax, and Advisory, where forward thinking creates results. The Russell Berry Foundation. Adler Aphasia Center, helping stroke and brain injury survivors recover their speech. And by the Fidelco Group. Promotional support provided by NJ.com. Small news, big news, true Jersey. And by New Jersey Monthly, the magazine of the Garden State, available at newsstands.
Welcome to Caucus. I'm Steve Adubato. What exactly is going on in the state's top business schools? And who exactly are the students graduating from these schools? Here in the studio, we are joined by top business school deans, including Dr. Lei Lei, who is Dean of the Rutgers School of Business. Dr. Reggie Caudill is the Dean of the School of Management at NJIT, that's New Jersey Institute of Technology. Dr. Greg Cant is the Dean of the Feliciano School of Business at Montclair State University. And finally, Dr. Joyce Strawser is Dean of the Stillman School of Business at Seton University. I want to thank all of you for joining us to talk about what's going on in the business schools in our region. Joyce, let me ask you, all business schools are not the same, are they?
That's true. They're very different in terms of culture, in terms of focus, the type of students that they target, the type of students that they attract. So we tend to think of ourselves as small, close-knit community with an applied practice focus.
Define applied.
Sure. So what we're doing is we call it transforming concepts into business practice. So that's really making the theoretical lessons of the classroom come to life. So students will do projects in classes that take them out of the textbook and into doing things that they'll do as business practitioners. So if I could give you an example. Sure. We had students recently working with Fox Sports on a new promotion for Seton Hall as part of the Big East campaign. So they were working on defining what it means to be a Stillman and Seton Hall student and how they would convey that. So they did everything from surveying students to get the feel of what it means to be a pirate and what gives them pride.
A pirate, Seton Hall pirate.
Exactly.
And by the way, Seton Hall actually has, not to be promotional here, but Seton actually has a very strong program in sports management and marketing. Indeed.
In fact, that's a unique within a business school to have a sport management program like that.
That's interesting. So that's what's going on there. Mm-hmm. And let me ask you, Doctor, at Montclair State, and the Feliciano School is named after
Edward and Mimi Feliciano, who I think are well known in the business community in New Jersey, where, you know, it's right that all of us are a little bit different, although there's also a lot of things that are similar about the challenges of business education. Part of the difference is our scale. You know, Rutgers is bigger than the three of us put together.
Is that true?
That's true.
Okay.
Right, and we're the second biggest of the state institutions. We have a very robust program, but scale-wise, Rutgers has 65,000 students. We have about
82. Oh.
82 now, is it? We have 20,000. So what it means is, for our scale, where our focus has been, is it's been primarily undergraduate. But we have a robust graduate program. We're exploring the options of a doctoral program as well. But in the sense, what we're all doing is grappling with that same question of how do you get accessibility to students, give them an opportunity to prepare for the real world of business, and get them graduated on time.
And that is important. I'll come to you in a second, Dean, but and full disclosure, I've been teaching at NJIT for the last few years, and I know the program very well. But let me ask you this, Reggie. At NJIT, someone might say, well, that's a school, it's an institute of technology.
Right.
Business, management, leadership, really, you say?
Absolutely. You know, the way that business and technology have just absolutely merged in these last few years, it makes sense to have a business and management program at a strong technical university. And that's kind of the niche that NJIT plays. My background is in engineering. more on the technical side. So I think we're in a process of moving forward and accomplishing the kinds of things that Joyce had talked about and others about creating a strong undergraduate program and graduate program that adds value for students and adds value to the employers.
Is the goal, as Greg said, in part to prepare your students to go out into the workforce? Do you feel that is your responsibility to prepare them to get a good job and be prepared to be professionals?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Right.
And Dean, you feel the same way?
Exactly.
And by the way, you like being the biggest program? Go ahead.
Yeah. You see, all the business schools in the country around the world are facing unprecedented challenge because of mega trend that are transforming the way we deliver business education, that are also redefine the perceived value of a business degree.
The perceived value?
Yeah. You see, 40 years ago, for example, if you have a good product, that's all. That's all you need. But now you have to have not only a good product, but also a matching service. Same thing for business school. You have to give the student not only a degree, but also a career. To give the student a career, take a lot of innovations.
Wait a minute, hold on. It is this job of the business school to give a student a career?
That's what we have been doing. And we have some of the programs with essentially 100% placement rate. That is a part of it.
So let's play this out a little bit. How much of your marketability, how much of your success is a product of students graduating, getting placed, as the dean said, getting jobs, good jobs, and having the buzz be, Dean,
Yes.
hey, I graduated from Stillman, got a great job, and then people talk about it. Is that part of what the dean's talking about?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that has been a very dramatic change over the last few years. So there's a focus on the practical. With the higher cost of education, with concerns about financial assistance, students and parents want to know, what internships will be provided? What are the full-time career prospects? Will we have contact with your alums? Can we start networking? All of these things, which we're not
practical?
It is very much so.
As opposed to
these are
just
the
show us your curriculum.
Exactly.
Not enough.
Not enough. Not enough.
When do you think that began? I hate to ask for the tipping point, like Gladwell, but what would you say? Was there a tipping point?
I would say certainly after the financial crisis, that was a bigger
2008, 7, 8?
Yeah, bigger deal. And as students have become more sophisticated, students come to us quite differently than they used to, I would say, a decade ago. They already have volunteer experience, they've had leadership roles, they really understand it. I think they've appreciated that the way that you acquire jobs now is quite different, that you have to begin networking right away, and that it's important to establish and maintain connections.
Yeah,
Dean, I'll come back to you. How do you teach? I've often been fascinated by this. That in our world of public broadcasting, I often say this on the air, and people who watch public broadcasting know that, we raise money to do what we do. And if we don't build relationships, you can't raise that money. And no matter what business you're in, relationships are key. Do you actually teach in the business school relationship building?
Yes, we do, all the time. Leadership, and we do that all the time. We give students many different kind of workshops, and we have industry people come over as our faculty, executive come over as our faculty to mentor student, to give student advice on the career. And we work very closely with the corporations to develop the new programs that will get student jobs.
So to that end, is it extremely important that you have relationships with corporations, as the dean was saying?
Absolutely fundamental. It's necessary to be able to bring the students into that real world experience that they can only get if we provide them with the opportunity to interact with corporations, both in the classroom and outside the classroom. Opportunities for internships and co-op.
So a business school says, listen, we have a great reputation, we have no internships, get away from that business school?
Yes.
Because?
Because that's the key to the future for that student, to have that experience when they walk in the door and are able to contribute for those companies.
Without those internships, not a good program, Doctor?
Well, in fact, now the benchmark for quality programs is a dedicated group of career placement we mentioned that an essential part of the people who work within our schools is a centre. In the past, that may have been a central centre in the university. We have a dedicated centre for the professionals. So it helps with everything from the traditional placement, helping you find the career position, all the things about advising, which is keeping you on track to graduate. And of course, essentially about getting the kind of internship that builds on your skills, enables you to be ready for the job market. And in fact, some of those programs in some schools amaze you at the kind of Rolls-Royce end of what that looks like. But that's a prerequisite for any kind of quality.
That's just in your business school?
In the business school, absolutely.
Dedicated to placement just in business school. Do you have something similar, Joyce?
Exactly. So a professional in the Career Center is responsible for a particular area, knows the professionals in that area. When alums call me and say, I'm looking for somebody for this position, I get a career professional on the phone. That person knows by name the students who are looking, the students who would match well with that employer. So that's very important.
Well, as we're talking about this, I think about this concept of the brain drain a lot. Right? All 4 institutions, New Jersey-based institutions. We're bullish on New Jersey. Listen, we're not going to do a commercial for New Jersey, but we do lose an awful lot of talented students. Our son, who was 23, wound up going to Fordham, had a great experience. The Jesuits are really good at recruiting as well. But now he's at Seton Hall studying for his master's degree in religion. But I will say this, I am fascinated by the fact that there is a struggle to keep the best and the brightest here. What do you do to try to keep the best potential business students who then wind up becoming the best professionals going into business? Because clearly there is a correlation between where you go to school and where you wind up living, and then paying taxes and being a contributing citizen in that community. Because if you leave New Jersey, you're not likely to come back.
That has been a historic problem for New Jersey.
Which is an economic issue.
Absolutely, it's an economic issue. What do? We try to work with the high schools in order to make those connections to the students so that the counselors are aware of who we are and what we offer to those students. And in that way, that gives us at least an opportunity for them to know what they can get with an education.
But that's on the undergraduate level. How do you balance the fact that having a graduate, having an MBA, but also some of you on the doctoral end as well, you're pushing that end as well, but you also want to have the undergraduate business program be strong. Can you have undergraduate and graduate level programming be that strong where you're still attracting, Dean, the best and the brightest out of high schools into business programs?
Yeah, you see, we have been experiencing an increasing trend in the
Rutgers
undergraduate enrollment. And then
undergraduate, grad?
Undergraduate.
Okay.
Undergraduate. And we have over 380 corporate sponsors. They work with us very closely, recruiting the student. And we have, not only that, we introduce many new courses and new majors that will prepare the student for the future job market. New Jersey has a very unique position because of our location. Our location will make New Jersey as a national job market.
So hold on, but I'm not wrong that we are losing, excuse me, Dean, we are losing some of our best students.
That's correct.
So in spite of the success that you're having, Dean, we are losing some, a lot, too many.
And you have got to be a bit careful with that narrative because certainly everyone...
Because you don't think it's true?
Well, you've got to think about this over the experience of a lifetime, is that we're in northern New Jersey and at least from our campus, we can see New York City.
Yes, that's tough competition.
When students study, they're going to go, the best students are going to go to the place that provides the best opportunity for them. Now, they might still live in Montclair and work in the city. They're going to pay taxes in New Jersey. And that I've met personally in my fairly short tenure here, lots of people who lived in the city for a period of time and are now back living in New Jersey.
That is true.
So the fact that the first job after graduating is on the West Coast, you know, in some cases that's right, they don't come back. But I think we have to be, at the end of the day, it's really about where the great jobs are. Is we prepare students, we prepare a lot of students, we do a good job with that. The fact that they might live across, in effect, a fairly small river in New York City may not be the end of the world for us, because New Jersey still has a lot to offer. We need a more robust business climate, some of the tax and other issues.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that next, so go ahead.
That's what's not necessarily helping us, because students will go where the good jobs are.
So let's talk about this. Do you feel, Dean, that the New Jersey business climate, itself is attractive enough for the best and brightest graduates of business programs to say, that's where I want to be?
I think if they know the facts, yes, because placement rates are very strong, and we have a large number, over 360 employers come just to recruit business students. So there's no lack of opportunity here. And in fact, going back to the whole discussion of New Jersey students leaving, we also are attracting more students from outside of New Jersey who then could come
in. Are we really?
In.
And staying?
Well, that's to be seen, but sure. Many of them come, they're attracted, they like the idea of living in the Northeast, living in the metropolitan area, so they're drawn to schools where they perceive there'll be an opportunity to place there. So they may well want to change their whole perspective.
That's so interesting. So is part of the attraction, to go back to what you said, Dean, is part of the draw, as a student of branding and marketing, I'm fascinated by this question, is part of the draw for each one of you to one extent or another, is part of the draw in trying to bring in students outside of New Jersey to your respective business schools, New York City? Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And the international student come to us.
And international students,
Yes.
Of course.
New York City.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And from
Go ahead.
emerging
No.
market.
What I'm saying is the fact that New York City is so close is part of the draw.
Yeah. We have students from New York City, from everywhere in the country come over because we have innovative programs that get student jobs, that build student careers. And so if we can do a good job in the innovation of a curriculum, prepare students for the future, they come to us.
Let's talk about technology. Many programs are either all online or in part online. So let's go around real quick.
Okay.
I know that NJIT has a significant number of programs that are online in the business school or the management school. Dean, online, could someone do it online fully?
The MBA program is fully online. The MSM program has online courses.
School of Management.
School of Management, right.
They have courses.
Yes, we have courses online.
Dean?
We find our students really prefer a hybrid approach, the graduate students, where they're connecting at least some point. So at the beginning, throughout the semester, but they're not committed to being there every week. And we also find students like the condensed executive type seminar, where they might go 2 long days on the weekends, consecutive weekends, but something that's a little more flexible, especially for graduate students.
And I'll disclose this. I taught, interestingly, at Rutgers in the executive MBA program and in the Seton Hall. It was not the Seton Hall business program, but it was the Seton Hall program for academic administrators who were looking for a doctorate. They're pursuing their doctorate, and they were going on Fridays and Saturdays. And at Rutgers, Dr. Farouk Langdana, great dean over there, they were going on Fridays and Saturdays. And I was struck by the commitment that people were making for those days, because they couldn't go on the regular graduate schedule, but they could go in this condensed period of time. Are you finding more and more that executive type program works for certain people, Dean?
Yeah, certainly. And when we offer this kind of program, not only in New Jersey, we also offer this executive MBA program in Singapore.
In Singapore?
Yeah, in very similar schedule.
A Rutgers program?
Yeah. Not only we have a Rutgers executive MBA program in Singapore, we also have a Rutgers campus in China. We recruit 200 college students there. They are Rutgers students.
But let's do the international thing. I'm going to come back to online in a second. Is the international piece of it part of the Montclair State world?
It is on a small scale. It's one of the areas that we're looking to expand. We really haven't leveraged our opportunities there. And partly we've been, there's a lot of local students. To say
the market's pretty big right here.
The market's big, and the students are coming through in the proverbial droves. But that said, it enriches a program when you have a more robust international student body. It's part of that reality. When I look at our faculty, more than half our faculty are international, which is why we've got such a strong faculty.
What do you mean? They're just outside, more than half
they grew up
born
in
outside of the United States?
Yes, and a good example is we have a large group of faculty who are born in India. And India is a really important country. Most of our students don't understand its significance. We've done very little to bring Indian students here and do other things. And I think we don't do a service to the community if they're not ready for the global reality. So we're a better program when we have more international connections.
So stay on this. By the way, online?
We are actually about to launch a fully online MBA to complement. We do the kind of MBA that other people do, which is the hybrid MBAs now, the weekends, all sorts of other things. Early in the fall, we'll have a fully online, which is 100% online.
Someone can get a master's in business fully online.
They will not come to campus ever.
We already got 2 of those already, very successful.
So interesting to me. Do the international piece here.
Sure.
Do you believe that teaching business and business practices, best business practices, that if you're truly going to be international, because the world of business is more and more international, that the case studies, that the best practices have to change and evolve because you're dealing with an international business and not American business?
Oh, no question. So you have to consider the issues of culture, the issues of more complicated trade, the issues of, well, security risks related to terrorism. All of these things have to be considered now when we're talking about just business practices in every course. So an international focus has to be really complete and threaded through everything that you do.
And I noticed, by the way, at NJIT, it is no secret that your student body is incredibly diverse, and they come from all over the world.
Yes, and also first-generation students. That's an interesting mix for our students, the international students as well as the regional students. You were talking about students leaving the state.
Yes.
The majority of our students are really those that are interested in staying in this region because of family ties and the connections they have. So it's a different problem. Yeah.
Let's do this in the time we have left. Let's name some. I'm fascinated by the question of leadership. I'm fascinated by Jim Collins' good to great concept of who you really want on that bus, who you need on the bus, and who you don't, right? The bus being a metaphor for your organization. So if we're putting the right people, as Collins says, in the right seats on the bus, and you're graduating people, professionals who we say, all right, we're going to put you in these seats on the bus, what are the most important skills that a graduate of a business program needs to get the premium seat on the bus in the organization that's going to succeed today? Joyce, what are some of the keys?
Communication, I think.
What kind? Let's describe it.
So any kind. So the ability to, for example, give honest and frank feedback, to accept that, to listen, to communicate clearly on anything, information, strategy, direction.
Without that?
You're lost. You could have all kinds of technical knowledge, but if you can't communicate clearly, persuade people, you have nothing really.
Dean.
Yeah, same thing here. In addition to communication, we also heavily focus on leadership. And then so students.
Can you teach it?
Yeah.
Can you teach leadership?
Yes, we have world-class faculty teaching leadership, not only from academic faculty side, but also corporate executives. And they did excellent job in the classroom, prepare the student, not only in terms of lead a project team per se, but also understand the culture, working with the people from different background. And you see, our Newark campus has been #1 diversified
campus in the country.
Yeah, for 18 years.
By the way, to the dean's point, if you don't understand cultural diversity, you're never going to succeed. What would you say the #1 trait you need coming out to get a premium seat on that bus?
I think it's the ability to work across disciplines. You have to understand the technical issues, the business issues, to communicate effectively outside of your domain.
And work well in teams. What do you have, Dean?
Look, I agree with my colleagues. The one thing I'd add, though, is if you're thinking at the metaphor bus, there's not an industry that isn't being dramatically changed by data. and the use of data in a way to make better decisions. And in industries like healthcare, it's completely reshaping healthcare. And so getting back to communication, you have to both understand what the tools of data do, you have to be able to use your analytical skills and then present that in a meaningful way to lead to decisions. So when I talk to students...
2 seconds left, go ahead.
When I talk to students, I say, you look around the table, who are we deferring to? Back to the different... Who we're deferring to is the one who helps us understand data in a way that drives good decision making. So if I'm a young person today, I need rich data skills coupled with good communication skills, and I'm the one we're deferring to.
And let me add one thing to that.
Real quick.
Ethics, very important, and especially with the use of data. So we need principled business leaders.
Absolutely. And the other thing you need is time management skills. And that's how I know there are 8 seconds left in this program. And I cannot thank all of you, the top deans of the top business schools in the region. I want to thank you so much. A valuable public service.
The preceding program has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence, and 13 for WNET, NJTV, and WHYY. Funding for this edition of Caucus New Jersey has been provided by Barnabas Health, PSE&G, MD Advantage Insurance Company of New Jersey, Cone Resnick, the Russell Berry Foundation, Adler Aphasia Center, and by the Fidelco Group. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. Caucus New Jersey has been produced in partnership with TriStar Studios.
Hi, I am Dominic Lei. I was recognized in 2015 with the Russ Berry Award for making a difference, for helping revitalize our school system in Newark. The award had a significant impact in my life. Help us identify and honor the unsung heroes in your New Jersey community who go unnoticed in their efforts to make a difference in the lives of others. You can nominate someone today for the Russ Berry Award for making a difference. The deadline for nominations is February 19, 2016.